How's it going, everyone? My name is Derek Afasi. I'm the owner of Afasi Financial Group and RetireSharp.com. Today's topic, I want to go over what are the different types of IRAs and cover a lot of the misconceptions out there that individuals think that IRA accounts can only hold investments. So what I want to do is show you the difference between a typical employer-sponsored retirement plan like a 401k, and then show you the difference between that and a traditional IRA, and then when individuals become eligible, how to roll over those monies into an IRA, and to make sure it's not just in an investable IRA, basically an IRA that's just held with investments. And there's different ways on how you could customize IRAs and have multiple IRAs that are subject to a specific purpose or basically set up for a specific purpose. So, some of them, they could be comprised of safety type measurements through insurance companies. It could be utilized through bank related products, through investment related products. So, what I want to do is just really unravel a lot of those misconceptions and hope that this brings some clarity to the situation so that when you do come time for that retirement stage, or even during your accumulation stage, how to do it most successfully and most effectively. So I'm going to make sure to go through a lot of different types of IRAs, how they could be segmented for those specific purposes. So be sure to take down notes, review this video a couple times over, and at any point in time, whenever you're interested to speak with a specialist, call our 1-800 number. It's 1-800-566-1002, or you could, at the very end of this video, I'm going to show you, I could go through our website and then set up a appointment through our digital calendar that pops up on our homepage. So, regarding the topic of the different types of IRAs, first I want you to understand something that is very common to individuals in the workplace. And what I mean by that is something known as an employer-sponsored retirement plan or a qualified employer-sponsored retirement plan. The most common type of retirement account set up by employees or set up for employees is something known as a 401k plan. So a 401k plan is set up from private institutions, and ultimately what happens is an individual starts working for a company. That company is giving them some different types of employee benefits. So they might give them, health insurance, life insurance, some ancillary products, such as disability or accident insurance, and then also telling them, okay, well, this is your employee benefits package. We also have something set up as a 401k plan that you could invest portions of your salary into each and every, pay period or each and every year, depending upon whatever you would like to put aside below a specific limit. So ultimately, a way that a 401k plan grows, and this is just like every type of retirement account, even if you're talking about a cash account, is if you think of it in the term of a bucket for really simplistic purposes, it grows by contributions that are going into the plan and rate of return that comes back. Regarding that type of plan. So if somebody is adding dollars into their 401k related plan, and let's say they're making $100,000 per year, and they say, hey, I want to put 10% of my salary into my 401k plan each year, well, we understand that $10,000 is going to be a contribution that's going into that retirement account, this 401k account. If, let's say, this person did not have a 401k plan, but just said, okay, I'm making $100,000 and I'm going to just dump this money underneath my mattress, 10% of my salary underneath the mattress, well, it's still going to be $10,000 going into a regular cash account underneath the mattress, whatever that is. If it's an IRA, same sort of concept. So it allows you to have that power to contribute dollars into a type of account, regardless of it being something that's tied to investments or something that's tied to just a regular cash account that doesn't have any sort of rate of return associated there. So with the topic of a 401k, typically employers provide some sort of match, some sort of incentive to stay at that company. So they might say, okay, if, depending upon whatever your salary is, we'll match you up to a specific percentage. So like if, this individual is making $100,000 a year and puts away 10% of their salary, but the match is only 5%, well, that means if they put in 10%, $10,000, the company's going to match them $5,000, and ultimately $15,000 is going to go into their account that year as a contribution. If, let's say, they go and their match is up to 5% and they only put 2% of their monies, well, then only 2% because it's up to that 5%. So $2,000 is going to be coming from the employee, $2,000 is going to be added out from the employer, and ultimately $4,000 is going to be set up into that type of plan on a contribution side. So the thing I want you to understand with any sort of account, whenever you're adding contributions, those are your controllables. That's what you could control, is the amount of dollars that you're putting into those accounts. So as I clear off the screen, because I don't want it to look too sloppy and too jumbled on the, obviously on the digital notepad, we have the one side, which is obviously the contribution side, and then when you're working for that employer and you're getting your employer benefits package, they're also going to give you different investment options that could try to grow this account as well. So this is where this rate of return side comes in, and it's very important regarding the combination of these two that's going to determine what your account value is at the end of the day, at the end of the year. So as an example, with a typical 401k related plan, you might have anywhere between 10 to 25 different options to choose. So what individuals typically do is, or what these options are typically tied to, are different investments. So different things that could be related to the stock market, or fixed income related investments, or commodities, or real estate, whatever that is. So if somebody, as an example, if somebody says, okay, I feel like the stock market's going to be doing really well, and they have something known as an aggressive portfolio or an aggressive allocated portfolio, what they're doing is they're putting a large portion of their monies at risk towards the stock market, whether that be in U.S. domestic markets or international markets, but ultimately it's tied to the stocks. So let's say if they have it tied to U.S. stocks, and that's the ration, that's the percentage of monies that they placed aside, that's what they've allocated into their plan, and the stock market goes up, well, in that day, in that year, they received a positive from their contributions, and they also received a positive from the rate of return because the stock market went up. Now, when the stock market goes sideways and when the stock market goes down, that's where this could be a potential problem. So in theory, the stock market should always be going up. So this is why individuals, when they're younger, they try to go and take a little bit more risk and then reduce that risk the further and further they get towards their retirement year, so that they can preserve their monies and create a type of distribution strategy. So, during your accumulation phase, individuals try to be more aggressive with their monies, and then they try to scale that down towards a wealth, towards a more conservative wealth preservation and distribution strategy, more towards like fixed income related investments. So with these different options available, think of them as eggs. So think of them as eggs in your basket. You have about 10 to 25 different eggs to choose from. So when someone's trying to receive really good risk-adjusted returns, what a common trend is, or what a common theory out there is known as asset allocation, is being properly allocated, or making sure that you're in diversified asset classes, so that when the stock market goes up, goes sideways, or it goes down, that individual is not falling victim when it goes sideways and goes down. So they might have something like stocks, they might have a combination of bonds in there, they might have a combination of commodities, a combination of real estate or international stocks in there. So different things that might not be correlated to one another, that as the stock market's going down, maybe bond market could be going up, or commodity market could be going sideways at that time. So the more rations or the different diversification in there theoretically should give the individual a better risk-adjusted return, and should give them more safety, more consistency with their gains, rather than have a really good gain and then have a horrible downward market crash like occurred in 2001 and 2008. So that's where this rate of return side is very important, and this is why when individuals are eligible to do a rollover, what they do is they roll over their monies into an individual retirement account known as a traditional IRA, or if they have a Roth 401k, they'll roll that over into a Roth IRA. What do I mean by that, and what are the benefits of an IRA when we're looking at it solely as an investment play, like an apples-to-apples comparison with a 401k? So for this example, and just for easy hypothetical purposes, what I'm going to utilize is, or show you an example of, a traditional IRA. So if someone had a 401k account, we understand that they're adding contributions into this account, into this, essentially this bucket. They might be getting match money from their employer, and then also their rate of return is determined by these, on average 10 to 25 different eggs or funds in their basket to choose from. So the more diversified, or whatever those options are, that's ultimately what's going to determine whether or not this rate of return is positive or is going to be negative at the end of the day, end of that year. So an IRA is very similar. So if we create a bucket similar to how that 401k worked, we have two separate components. We have a contribution side and a rate of return side. the contributions on an IRA or traditional IRA are going to be limited. You're going to have smaller limitations, lower limitations of a contribution side than on a 401k. And then also on top of it, because when somebody's setting up a traditional IRA, an individual retirement account, they're not receiving a match, because who's going to match them? It's an account that the individual is setting up themselves, so they're not going to be getting a match from themselves. So that's where the contribution side is going to be a little bit more limited, but individuals would conduct a rollover, especially if they're looking to try to grow their accounts a little bit further and try to set up different investments, because of this rate of return component on a traditional IRA. So unlike the 401k, where you might have only 10 to 25 different options, or think of them as eggs in your basket to choose from your funds, if you're trying to get a better risk-adjusted return, typically, if you go into a traditional IRA, you might have anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 different eggs in your basket to choose from, different options to choose from. So this could give you something that might be, much cheaper, much higher quality. You could have different specifications in there, whether that's, gold, silver, different real estate, different sorts of index funds, things that could give you that potential to have really good, risk-adjusted returns, better than that 401k related plan, because there are such a plentiful amount of options available. So when comparing it, like let's say if somebody's working for a company, and then all of a sudden that employer-sponsored retirement plan, let's say it goes from like a Fidelity Investments over to a T. Rowe Price, sometimes the company would allow this individual to say, okay, well, you've already accumulated dollars in your 401k. Because we're changing the investment company that holds the 401k account, you could take the monies and roll it over into a traditional IRA. That's a qualifying period. Or let's say if this person severs employment with that company, rather than leave that old 401k on the sidelines because they're not going to contribute any more monies, so now they have to rely on just that rate of return side, it doesn't make mathematical sense to go into that 401k when they could go and roll it over and maybe put in better options with a traditional IRA account. Let's say when somebody gets a little bit older and they might hit age 59 and a half, there's another qualification period of saying, okay, because you hit an age-based in-service withdrawal or in-service rollover opportunity, it allows them to take the 401k, the existing monies, and roll those over into a traditional IRA. So when looking at it as an apples-to-apples investment-to-investment related plan, it's the difference between having limited eggs in your basket, limited funds in your basket to choose from, and then essentially thousands of different combinations, more plentiful options that you can customize a lot better for a better potential growth play in there. So the problem that exists are individuals think that if they take their money from a 401k, they could only roll it over into a traditional IRA, and IRAs could only be held within investments. And no, I mean, sometimes it is important to have it set up in investments so that it gives you a higher potential to get a better rate of return. But the purpose of this video is to show you that there are different types of IRAs, and you could customize it specifically to your situation. So, regarding the accumulation phase, let's say if somebody's in their 20s, they started working for a company, and then all of a sudden by age 40, they severed employment with that company, and they start working for a new company. Well, with the new company, they could set up a new 401k plan and get a match and all those other different things, and try to segment and optimize their 401k related plan with the new employer. Now, that old 401k that was sitting there with the old employer, that's something that individual might want to roll over into a customized traditional IRA that's set up for a specific purpose, whether that be a growth purpose, whether that be just a fixed interest rate purpose, or just basically a safety purpose, whether it's to generate income, lifetime income later on. This is more towards that accumulation phase of financial planning. Now, as somebody is, let's say in that situation, they go and they rolled over at age 40, they rolled over a portion of their old 401ks into a traditional IRA, and then they're still contributing to their other 401k, and now this individual hits age 60, but they want to retire at age 65, maybe there might be eligibility that they could roll over their monies that they've accumulated in their 401k and put that into a different type of IRA or multiple types of IRAs depending upon what the plan permits. So like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, there's two main phases to financial planning. You have your accumulation strategy, which you're trying to accumulate your monies on the best, most effective, consistent basis. having that power of compound interest really help out your accounts. And then it starts to come to this point where you might be reaching your late 40s, early 50s, early 60s, whatever that is, where it's now trying to diversify a little bit better, maybe not take as much risk because you're not trying to get as high of a return, so that you do not fall victim to a large drawdown with the stock market. So this is where a wealth preservation and distribution strategy come into play. So how exactly with this phase can an individual leverage their old retirement accounts and segment them into different types of customized IRAs so that it looks like a perfect puzzle piece for their ideal retirement situation, so that they could essentially say, okay, age 65, this is when I want to retire, as an example, and I want to take, I want to basically utilize my health insurance as Medicare. I want to make sure that I'm pulling my pension monies, my Social Security monies. Maybe I'll have an IRA designed into an annuity to trigger annuity income. Then I have other monies that are set up as an emergency fund, as inflationary-based protection with growth strategies. So what exactly are some different ideas or different examples with the various types of IRAs out there or available? So this is where I'm going to discuss the theory of the three different things theory. Basically, with any individual that calls into the agency, or any individual that's trying to retire in the future, if they're currently retired, how to stay retired forever, they have to have three things met to have that success, to have that confident retirement. The first stage is something known as your income or income sources. What this means is, dependent upon whatever this individual's expenses are, you want to make sure that their income sources, whether it be with some sort of lifetime or guaranteed related income, whether that be Social Security income, pension income, annuity income, different things that are giving them income streams month by month by month, has to be greater than what their expenses are in retirement. If it's not greater than what their expenses are, well, then this individual either has to work longer, or they have to reduce what their expenses are to make sure that that's either equal, or these income sources are at least greater than that, to therefore move on to step two. Step two is something known as the emergency fund stage. So after this individual has created, if they have different types of retirement accounts, and they've segmented a specific account that gives them, that fills that gap for what their expenses are beyond what the Social Security and the pension income comes to them, then they can move on to that step two that says, okay, I have about 6 to 12 months of whatever my expenses are in a given year, in a given 6 months. I want to at least have into some sort of emergency funds, something that's easily accessible in case of a health ailment, or in case a tree falls on my house, or destroys my car, or whatever that case might be. Maybe you want to take a vacation, something that could be utilized as just liquid cash, things that you could touch at any point in time. So rule of thumb is to take about 6 to 12 months of whatever your expenses are and stack that aside into some sort of liquid account, such as a money market account or a savings account or a checking account, whatever that is. After this is sufficed, after step two is sufficed, then it brings us to step three, and that's inflationary-based protection. So out of these expenses, some of these expenses could be fixed, other expenses could be inflationary. Whenever you have an inflationary related expense, like the cost of goods and services increasing, you want to make sure to at least have some sort of strategy that combats that type of inflationary need year by year by year. So what do I mean by that regarding these three things, if I'm just utilizing a hypothetical example, and how can we leverage IRAs for that individual situation, to create that confident retirement play? So let's say we have an individual, we have a male age 60, and has about $500,000 sitting in a 401k account, and this person wants to retire at age 65. This individual understands that at age 65, he's going to have expenses of right around $60,000. So this is going to be what his need is. If we're leveraging the three things scenario, we understand income sources. He needs to be greater than $60,000. That's what his expenses are from age 65 and beyond. So out of this individual situation, they understand they're age 60 right now. Maybe at age 65, they could trigger Social Security income. That's going to make up $30,000. This individual is also receiving pension income at age 65 of another $20,000. And he has $500,000 in a 401k right now. Now, based upon his employer allows him at age 59 and a half or beyond to take either all or a portion of their 401k monies and roll that over into an IRA or various types of IRA accounts. So in this example, we understand that the Social Security income is $30,000, the pension income is $20,000. That only equals $50,000. So for age 65, right now we have a gap of about $10,000 that needs to be sufficed out of this $500,000 bucket. So understand, with this example, I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible. Obviously, individuals have a lot more, detailed situations, but just for hypothetical purposes, I really want you to grasp this concept. So what this tells us is $50,000 is what is the guaranteed income sources, but they're falling short of about $10,000. With that, maybe you could set up out of this $500,000 for a male age 60, looking to trigger income in exactly 5 years. Maybe the smallest amount of dollars that he could place aside into an income-producing product like an annuity would be $100,000 for a 5-year deferred hybrid annuity, meaning something with an income rider. If he puts $100,000 in today's dollars, in exactly 5 years he will receive $10,000 each and every year to the day that he passes away or him and his spouse passes away. So what that does is that accomplishes step one. Out of the $500,000 original bucket in the 401k plan, we set up IRA number one in an IRA annuity account. Remember, that's not an investment account. It's an IRA annuity account with an insurance company that says if you give $100,000 to the insurance company, that monies are going to grow or basically grow consistently depending upon what type of annuity it is. And then at age 65, we're triggering income through a lifetime income rider that's going to produce them the $10,000 per year that he needed, at basically at age 65 to accomplish what his income goal was. So that's step one. Step two, we understand this individual needs about or has about $60,000 in expenses each and every year. So step two, with that emergency fund, we might want to segment about $50,000 because we understand rule of thumb is to leave about 6 to 12 months of expenses into some sort of liquid cash. So maybe out of the $400,000 that's remaining from the 401k monies, we roll over $50,000 into an IRA money market account. So just a savings account, just basically sitting there. It's not getting hindered with downward market losses or anything like that. It's just basically a liquid account. You're not really going to have any sort of growth with that. It just maybe pays a little bit better than a savings account. But at any point in time, you could pull monies from this, and those are liquid monies that this individual could pull. So out of this $400,000, we had, or out of the original $500,000, we had $100,000 in IRA number one with an IRA annuity. We had $50,000 go with IRA number two in an IRA money market account. And now we have the remaining dollars, $350,000, that we could plan for what this inflationary need is. And the way that the inflationary need works is out of the $60,000, that might be what his expenses will be at age 65. Maybe by the time he's age 67, his expenses are going to grow to $62,000. Maybe by the time he's age 70, it's going to be $65,000. And reason being is because of the cost of goods and services, your dollar is going to be beaten up with this invisible negative known as inflationary risk that says, a dollar today is not going to purchase as many goods and services as a dollar, 5 years from today. So with that situation, this individual could either leave a portion in this 401k account or could have really good risk-adjusted returns, say, okay, I'm going to do a rollover into a traditional IRA. So that's where this contribution side comes into play. Is it's just a rollover. It's going from a qualified 401k retirement account into a qualified traditional IRA. So that's the contributions going in there is just from the rollover, and then this rate of return is determined by those 3,000 to 5,000 different options. So this is where you could utilize like different managed money techniques, different really good asset allocation strategies. You could have a portion of dollars of that 350,000 you could put into like a fixed account like a bank CD or a fixed annuity. Then another portion of, towards growth-related investments, towards the stock market or commodities or bonds or whatever that is, and have a lot of that diversification in there. So even though this looks really sloppy, what we did was we gave this individual peace of mind to say, okay, I could properly retire. I have more than enough assets. I have more than enough income streams. Everything looks good to say I could keep living. I'm never going to outrun my expenses. And I have enough monies in there that I could pull from with my inflationary related bucket to basically pull from at any time in the future when expenses increase further and further and further. Or let's say this person wants to take a trip, they could always utilize it or leverage that concept of anytime I'm receiving a gain, maybe take the gain, put it in a side account, and then that's going to be their discretionary monies, for those years in this step 3. So the overall bigger picture, this individual, because they had an age-based in-service withdrawal or in-service rollover opportunity, they were able to, or we were able to create, 3, 4, 5 different IRA accounts. First IRA being with an IRA annuity. Second, so that was IRA number 1 with an annuity. We have IRA number 2 was with a money market account. We might have had IRA number 3 in a IRA with bank CDs. IRA number 4 with an IRA fixed annuity. IRA number 5 is the investment-related IRA, maybe like with Fidelity Investments or whatever that is, with different stocks, bonds, commodities, real estate, whatever that other those opportunities are. So what happened is ultimately this individual took the dollars, rolled it over into multiple IRA contracts because each IRA is serving a specific purpose, and then this is what's going to provide them that peace of mind to accomplish their goals successfully. Now, let's say if they did this at age 60, the individual says, well, if I do that, then I lose out on my 401k opportunities, and that's not true. Because this individual is still going to work from age 60 to 65, all that happens is their new 401k account, after they roll over the monies, the new 401k account is just starting at a $0 balance. So if this person is adding dollars to them on a contribution side, the match is not going to go away. If the person adds, just like they were making $100,000 in a year, and they're getting a match of 2%, if they put $2,000 into their contribution, even after they did the rollover, $2,000 went in, $2,000 was still the match. The match, this is the misconception, is individuals think that they lose their matching money if they do a rollover. They do not. The match is only set up on the dollar that you're contributing. It's not on the overall account value. So, I really want that to sink in and to be, very apparent, because there's a lot of missed opportunities with individuals that could just segment their dollars and customize different IRAs that are segmented towards specific purposes to allow them to get from their current point A to point B, their retirement years from point B all the way to date of death, make sure that they're doing it on a safe, consistent basis without taking on unwanted risk or being subject to only 10 to 25 different eggs or funds in their basket to choose from. So I hope you found value in this video. I hope you learned some different things. Understand that with retirement planning, you only have one chance to get things done correctly. You want to make sure to reduce that margin of error as much as possible, and this is where you could utilize different combination of safety-related products or investment-related products, and just make sure that it correlates exactly to your situation, to whatever you feel comfortable with. At any point in time, if you did find value in this video and you want to speak to a specialist, please feel free to give our 1-800 number a call. It's 1-800-566-1002. We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And when calling over, you'll speak to an assistant, and you just basically tell them, hey, I saw what are the different types of IRAs video. I was interested in speaking with a specialist that could help at my situation. From there, the specialist will give you a call. They'll find out what your situation is, send you different literature pieces, videos, whatever that is, to help with your educational process and really show you, different ways on maybe how you could accomplish your goals successfully. Now, a much more efficient option would be to leverage our digital calendar. So when you click on the little URL in the description of this video, you could either go to retiresharp.com, retiresharp with a P, or fosseyfinancial.com. They both bring you to the same place. And you're going to see a little icon that pops up on the right-hand side over here. And that's book your strategy session. And this is where you could schedule an appointment. So you could basically see our digital calendar. You could set it up with a specialist, and then just basically put in the notes section, what you want to discuss, and we'll make sure that somebody's available for that exact time. You might be dealing with me. You might be dealing with some of my other specialists. But we really look forward to dealing with your situation, hoping we can help educate you the best way possible. So in closing, I want to thank you very much for watching this video. Please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Retire Sharp, so you could have access to the most updated videos. Thanks so much, guys.